Real quick, I want to do a fair use. Yeah, Brakatah Yahweh. Brakatah Yahweh Shai. And we'll give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh. Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaChodash. Look to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To you sisters, you Akhwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson.
We need to all be aware. Fascism is here. A wave is coming. If you do not look like this, they are calling your number terrorist, jihad. Islam is not compatible with the West. If you are brown, that is your number. Crime-ridden, criminal, welfare. If you are black or poor, that is your number. Immigrants, aliens. If you are brown or black, that is also your number. Black people again, because America hates black people. Maybe you're thinking, I don't fall into any of those categories. It's not going to affect me. That is not how this works. They are talking about cleaning the streets of Washington, D.C., the crime-infested streets. They are not talking about white people. If you do not believe me, I will provide clips from white people with massive political audiences pushing this idea and narrative. I know, it sounds insane, but these people are insane. Some of the richest, most powerful people in the country talking about white genocide and eugenics. It's there. We're there. If you hear preserving or restoring American culture, what exactly does that mean?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead.
Throw an election by violence. They tried that. This is an administration that breaks the law all the time. There is no guarantee that the mere fact that something is illegal means they won't try. It's illegal to overthrow an election by violence. They tried that. This is an administration
not apply to the National Guard when it is under the command of a state governor. However, if the president federalizes the Guard, its members become subject to the act. Exceptions to the Posse Comitatus Act. Despite the restrictions, several exceptions permit the president to deploy the military domestically for law enforcement purposes. The Insurrection Act. This is the most significant exception, allowing the president to deploy active duty military forces or federalize the National Guard to enforce federal law or suppress rebellion or insurrection. It requires a presidential proclamation to peacefully disperse before force is used as a last resort. Natural disasters. Congress can authorize the use of the military to restore order in the aftermath of a natural disaster, as was discussed after Hurricane Katrina. Counter-drug operations. Legislation has been enacted to allow military cooperation with civilian law enforcement officials to combat drug trafficking. Protection of federal property. The military may be used to protect federal property and personnel, though recent court rulings have scrutinized whether such deployments amount to illegal law enforcement. Coast Guard exemption. The U.S. Coast Guard, while an armed service, is not covered by the Act due to its inherent law enforcement duties.
Hey, y'all, don't do it. Don't go out here looting and stuff and stealing and doing all that type of stuff. Even though I know a lot of people ain't gonna listen to this and they still gonna go through the food. But then y'all got stuff like this waiting on y'all. See that? Y'all got stuff like that waiting on y'all to bust a move and go out there. They already planned. They planned this. This was a plan. Don't y'all know that Satan is the one controlling all of this? See, y'all don't believe in the spirits, in the spirit realm. Y'all don't believe in this whole thing is about spirituality. We ain't fighting against humans. We fighting against fallen angels and Satan and this.
I want y'all to never forget, on May 29th, 2020, the Donald J. Trump tweeted, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, except he was specifically talking about black people. Conservative contradiction.
Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, right? It says, therefore, rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, right? That's dealing with, Esau's rulership right now, right? They're in their heaven, right? They're ruling. Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? Woe, which means judgment. So we're in the time of what? Of judgment, right? The second coming of our Lord, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls JC, to the inhabitants of the earth, right? Because they're ruling over the earth, right? And they're going to get a stronger hold through the micro C hip, right? And through the digital biometrics, which will go from your phone into a implantable device within your right hand, left hand, or forehead, right? And it's and of the sea, which means people, right? They're gonna rule over the people, and it's gonna be what? A great judgment to these people, because a lot of these people are going to follow the ways of the beast, right? For the devil, right, which that's the beast, the devil, right, which means false accuser, right, is come down unto you having great wrath. So he's going to use these false lies, false narratives, right, pseudoscience, right, in order to cause you, or was it convince you that this way is the way, and his way is not the way. So when you're not following that way, right, which most people are not, this thing is it's a setup like that. I guess the chick, she got some type of understanding, because she put Princess of Israel, but then when you go into her whole thing, that's why I clipped it off. She goes into Satan being fallen angels. No, it's just the devil is the false accuser, that the dragon being the Roman Empire, right, which one we get into it, being the Roman Empire, which is the Edomites, right? And they are the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, because they do worship him. But it's not dealing with the fallen angels, because the ones who fell was the Israelites. It just means renown. Our name is not renowned, right? Which that's where we're at now, right? We're not, our name is not known in the world, and we're not known as the Israelites the way we're meant to be, above all nations, right? We're actually beneath the bases of men, right? So the devil, the false accuser, is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So basically I'm come here to the blue letter, right? Because she's a woman anyway at the end of the day, but she has a little bit of knowledge, but it's not right, because the fallen angels were the Israelites, right, or the sons of God, right, not Satan, right? That's why I just put a little bit of her video, because she went into a bunch of stuff, but I did put the part. She said this is a spiritual, which it is. This is spiritual, and it is Satan through his minions, which is the so-called white man, right? Right, the devil, right? Letting you know, right? So just transliterate, right? We're gonna go into what the devil means to let you know it's not the spiritual demon Satan. It's his physical counterparts that are upon the earth, right? That worships him, which Satan still works for the Father. He's never left the Most High. He's still an angel. He's still a son of God, right? But the devil is talking about Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, right? Which is Diabolos or Diabolos.
Strong's G1228. Diabolos.
Diablos, right? And some people say Diablos, but Diablos, right? Prone to slander, and that's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. Slanderous, accusing falsely, right? That's talking about Esau. That's what he does. That's how he uses things and manipulation. Matter of fact, I was just watching that Running Man again because Apostle Har was speaking about it, and it's actually a lot within that Running Man, right? Being right, really actually right in the beginning, because the very beginning there was a crowd of people and they were in an uproar, right? Which is talking about the end times, the uproar of the people, right? And he said it was a food riot and they wanted him to shoot him. So this is the time that, though Trump was speaking about drugs and drug people, he was really talking about so-called black people, right? Right? Well, the Israelites all together, but mainly you Jakes, right? And that Insurrection Act, that's why I showed it under, right? Because what happened in New Orleans? People started looting, right? What, did it say something about, the posse comitatus doesn't, it basically makes it non and void if there's, of course, the Insurrection Act, but also what? Drugs. What do they say black people are known for? For selling drugs. So they can use that against you. They can use the military, which that's what they're doing, right? That's word is kind of long. Calumniator. Okay. Says false accuser, slanderer, method applied to a man. See, showing you it's not the spiritual demon Satan. This Diablos is this. You apply this to a man. That's how you apply it. Who, by opposing the cause of the power, right? Which are the Israelites, which is the prophecies, the things that's going out, right? The ones who his whole thing was, he's such a patriot, but then he's going against free speech, right? You can't have free speech. That's like one of the most important things about being an American is having free speech. That is like the top thing, besides being able to protect yourself with a weapon, right? Top thing is being able to say whatever on your mind, but they're well, yeah, there is no, basically the Constitution is gone. It says by oppressing, by opposing and causing the cause of the power, the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai may be said to act the part of the devil. See, he's going to act out the part of the devil, or to side with him, and that's where he's at. He acts the part of the devil on the earth, and also he sides with the devil, right? Yeah, so coming back here, so it's talking about a man. For the devil, right? It's just a man who's acting the part of the devil on earth, which is Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, who opposes all that the Most High, right? Prophecy, right? Namely, it's what they're trying to do. Micro C-hip, right? Which is your natural God-given right to be able to eat and drink water freely, right? To be able to get food freely, right? Especially like apples and oranges and things like that, things that's supposed to grow on trees, right? But they want to make you pay for these things, right? So now we're in a time that where things are not so freely, right? So he's playing the thing of the devil to cause of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive that mark, karagma, karax, grapho, right? Because what? He the devil is coming down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. So the second coming of our Lord is fastly approaching. He knows it. That's why he scrubbed the internet, things that prove that we're the Israelites. Because what? You so-called Native Americans went on slave ships elsewhere. You Mexicans went on slave ships elsewhere. Also, they brought us from Europe and the west coast of Africa to here, so Judah and Ephraim could be oppressed together, right? Which is all prophecy, which that's what Moses said. You will go into Egypt again with ships, right? Which is bondage, right? And that's what we went into through his opposing the Most High, and says it says, and the devil saw that he was cast unto the earth, right? And what Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. But also what? He's his witchcraft, his the things that he was proud of. Manifest destiny. Now when you mention that, it happened, but they're not talking as proud. Yeah, well, you put Jake in slavery and you did this. Now they're trying to wipe slavery out of the books. Now they're trying to say, oh, you just indentured slavery, this and that. You look at the internet where they used to have the yoke of iron and plenty of slaves with all sorts of gashes and brutally beaten with whips all on their backs. You can't even find those things now. The videos of the chariots, and even so-called white women saying that they seen the chariots and experienced it, and said that there were black men inside those chariots, and said that they coming to take over the world, right? With your angels, right? The angels are coming. So they oppress and try to not let you know that, hey, there's a shift coming to this earth, right? So he saw that he's cast down to the earth. He persecute the woman which brought forth the man child, which dealing with Yahweh Shai was brought forth, and was the Herodian brought forth. Herodian, the mighty men of Herod, which from the Herodian dynasty, killed a lot of Judites in basically towards the city of David, right, in Bethlehem, right? Yeah, so basically this goes with that right there, because it talks about how the dragon went after the woman that brought forth the man child, and this is the verse right here. And it says Micah 5 and 1. I'm going to start at 1. It says, gather yourselves together in troops, O daughters of troops, which that's basically Yahushua gathering the elect, right? And it says, he have laid siege against us, which is talking about the Herodian dynasty have laid siege against Israel, right? They shall smite the judge of Israel with the rod upon his cheek, which is talking about the time that the Yahushua was crucified on the cross, right? But thou, Bethlehem, which going back into that place, so you know the place where they laid siege against us. Where was that place that they laid siege against us? But thou, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though thus be small amongst the thousands of Judah, right, which is going into Bethlehem, yet out of thee shall he come forth, right, which Yahushua was born in Bethlehem, unto me that is to be ruler in Israel, which is Yahushua, who's going forth, have been from old, from everlasting. Yeah, come back here, finish it up. So it says, and the woman, which is Israel, were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, which was which is, well, America, right? Well, it was Africa, right, as the wilderness, because the Lord said, flee ye into the mountains and go. But then, of course, you know, it's a continuous a wilderness, because then we got taken into cargo slave ships from the west coast of Africa into America, right, for that final judgment, right? And it's basically, this is the wilderness, right? This is a place of judgment, right? A place of refining, right? Because that's the same thing he did when we were coming out of Egypt. It was to refine you before you went into the Holy Land, right? And that's where we're at now, into her place where she is nourished, right? Which that's what Trump is doing. He's taking away the nourishment because, you know, of course, after some time, you know, you have gotten the snaps and the Section 8 and the so-called DEI and what is it called? Affirmative action and whatever, you know, the things that cause you to have some nourishment for a time and times and half a time, Salakia, and half a time from the face of the serpent. So, you know, of course, during that the time, you know, Esau would show a little racism and, you know, kind of hide it and cover it up. He wasn't like a out bluntly racist, right? Which now Satan is showing forth that face again. He's showing forth the horns, right? 2 horns like a lamb. Now speaking what? Like a dragon, draconial laws. They're showing you. So, and now we're in the time where, and the serpent cast out of his mouth, right, waters as a flood after the woman, right? So and what is Trump saying? I just signed this, what do you call it? Legislation. I just signed this executive order. This is law. Let's do this. Let's do that. Oh, there's crime in DC, crime in LA, crime in all these states. So he's just bringing it all out. Also, every country in the world right now, damn near, is speaking about a digital ID, right? So they're going to bring forth that flood, which is the troops, right? The military, right? Stormtroopers, a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. So he's hoping that he can kill all the Israelites, and if he can't kill them all, he's hoping to chip you. So therefore, it puts away the prophecy. Therefore, he can keep his rulership. Yeah, it says, and I beheld another beast came up out of the earth, which is dealing with the fourth beast, right? Because you had the four beast systems, the Babylonians, Assyrians, the Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, and then the Romans. And then you have the revised Roman Empire, where the deadly wound that was healed, and they returned, right? And now we're at the toes, the end of this thing, where they're partly clay, partly iron, and partly clay, where things is basically falling apart, right? They're not things is, it's the end. We're at the end of this thing. So it says, yeah, and he had two horns, and this is how they did it, going into the Greek and the Roman, and also the revised Roman Empire, right? Because the time they had the Romans, they had the plebeians and the patricians, right? Two horns like a lamb, yep, which is the plebeians, the patricians, and now you have the Democrats, the Republicans, and now you're in a part that they're basically doing away with the Constitution. And he spake as a dragon, and that's what basically Trump is doing. He said, no, we're not just going. We're just gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him. Yeah, and that's really for you Jakes. It's for you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right? None of you are exempt, right? Says, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast, right? Because what did he do with the first beast? It said he came through, he stumped out the residue of the people, right? And that's what he's about to do. He's about to exercise that power. Once again, he's about to get carnal. And he causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, right? Going back to, to that same kind of Roman system. But you got to realize that now everything is sped up. It's faster. It's digital. Palantir, Hopsur, right? Their gospel, right? Which is the weapon, right? Who deadly wound was healed. So that's the revive. That's that same Roman Empire, but everything now is what? Digital. Now I don't have to put chains on you. I could put a digital chain on you, and digitally you could only go so far. You will only be able to buy things in certain areas. You can only buy and sell unless you have this mark, Karagma Karax. But where I tell you, you could go, and you could only take visits or fly if I say you could fly, right? Yeah, so this is Daniel's 2. It says and 40, Daniel's chapter 2, verse 40, and the fourth kingdom, right, which is Esau's kingdom, right, dealing with the Romans, right, the Roman Greco Empire, right, that's what they call it, because they knew that they were the Greeks too. So it says the basically the Roman Greco Empire, which is the fourth kingdom, shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron break in pieces and subdueth all things, right? They had power, right? Through their military, they had a strong military, right? Same way they do today, right? A very strong military. But this is that saying how they're gonna basically get people to worship the first beast, which this is the first beast, which the Roman Greco Empire, right? As iron breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise, right? And that's basically how they plan on doing right now. They're gonna go carnal. Also judiciary, right? Because it tells you in the Apocrypha that the law, they're gonna make the law their strength, right? So you're gonna use, partial military and partial law, right? Just making up things, but they have the power, they have the military, right? And they have the means, right? Because you have to come to them for the want of all things. The water, milk, drink, whatever, clothing, garments, right? You have to go to them for the want of all things. And that's part of the curses, because you should never have to go to anyone for the want of all things, right? We could barter, we could trade, but for me having to come to you for everything, something's wrong. So that's why these Jakes, you tripping out about this snaps. Something should be wrong with you, right? Everybody go snap for they snaps and gonna end up in a body bag. But hey, this is the time that we're living in. See, and like that lady was saying, it's just all a setup, right? And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part iron, right? See, that's the time we're living in, because now we're living in a time where it's partly iron and partly clay. It says the kingdom shall be divided, and that's what you're dealing with right now. You got the separation, of America, right? America is completely split, right? Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, is completely split, of difference of opinions. I was watching this videos. I was on Rumble, and you got the megas out there against the Antifa, and they're just all, was it Portland? They were in Portland, and they're standing there around all manners of night, looking at each other, talking, harsh words towards each other, and they're just waiting for a fight to break out, and they're literally having encampments across from each other, being that they don't agree, and then they're standing around filming each other, and then both people are getting upset that you're filming. Why are you filming me? What are you doing? Why are you filming me? And things is getting hostile, right? And they're doing it every night, staying out there in Portland, right? From the video I was seeing, the dude was saying this thing happens almost every night. You got Mega, and they're camped out, and the Antifa's camped out. So they're divided. These are all Edomites. Edomite on Edomite crime is about to happen, right? There's complete division within this place. And of course you have the what's it, Posse Comitatus Act that a judge said it was illegal for Trump to do, but yet he's doing it, right? So there's division in this place, right? But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, right? Because you still got military, and then you still got certain places in Europe that still has money. They still have their finances is good, but they may not have the military, but their finances is good, or they got the military and their finances is good. So that's part of them just being, being the Edomites. For as much as thou sawest the iron mix with miry clay, and the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken, right? Because also what? America's not really getting along with England or Europe the way they used to, because what? Trump backed out of that whole thing with Ukraine, so for mineral rights. So now he wanted to get the some of the minerals, right? Basically the valuable things, the earth minerals, the things, gold, silver, whatever they get out of there. I don't know if it's uranium or petroleum or uranium, whatever they pulling out of there. He wanted some of the value of it, right? And until they think, and yeah, it's basically caused a rift between them, right? Between them and Europe. So that's part of that, because that's NATO, right? Because they're the Edomites. NATO, EU, and America, right? That's that whole beast system. It says, whereas thou sawest iron mix with the miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, right? Because they're mixed in, amongst people, right? What is this? America? It's called the melting pot, right? But it's not mixing. It's not. Because that's his way of trying to hide himself. But everybody's starting to see that he is the devil, right? And then now that he sees that everybody, he's like, oh, damn. And you see the chariots, you see the men of Yahweh Shem Yahushai standing on their feet, prophesying the downfall of this kingdom. And the more that we prophesy, the more this place falls apart, right? So now you have to be against free speech at this point, right? Because you're not cleaving to us. You know what I'm saying? The Lord said you should know a man by his fruits. And we see everything he's ever done was dark, rotten, right? It says in that day, in those days, oh no, I don't want to go into that. But yeah, because might as well. Because the Lord is going to destroy this place, man. And in those days, those kings show the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, which is talking about Yahweh's kingdom. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. See, and that's what they're thinking. Their whole thing is to offset prophecy, but the Lord already promised that he was never going to leave this earth over to another people, right? He's going to give the earth to Yahushai, one that is profitable, right? It says to other people, but it shall break in pieces. See, and that's what you've been doing. You've been breaking in pieces all the nations, but the Lord is going to break in pieces you, right? And consume all these kingdoms. See, all the kingdoms that's in the earth, the Lord's going to break in pieces all the kingdoms, whether it's Moab, Ammon, Ishmael, Ham, and definitely you Esau, Edom, right? And consume all these kingdoms and it shall stand forever. Right? The kingdom of Yahweh Shai. Yeah, so basically this is Isaiah chapter 47, verse 12. Now stand with thy enchantments, right? See, this is basically the Most High. And so they know, they've been seeing the chariots, through their, NASA and their astrologers and, these different warlocks and witches that pray to Satan, and they basically report back to them, and they know that there's a different type of war that's about to take place, right? And it says, so basically that's what they're doing. A lot of this is just enchantments, right? Right. Matter of fact, MAGA in itself means warlock, right? It says that's basically like an enchantment, right? It says, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, yep, that's what they're doing, wherein thou has labored, right? And that's why they're he's using a backdoor means, right? Like which is witchcraft, by skating around the posse comitatus. Oh, well, they're doing a joint police act. The military's doing a joint. They're joining the police, and they only join if they need them. But they haven't needed you this long, right? Right. So what are you doing? You're doing it. It's sorcery, right? At the end of the day. So, but the Lord said, within wherein thus has labored from thy youth, right? So continue doing what you've been doing, and that's what he's doing. He is. I mean, he don't know nothing else anyway, right? If so be, thus shall be able to profit, right? So say if you don't want this kingdom of Yahweh Shai to come and reign forever, then go ahead and use your enchantments and your sorcery, the things that you've been doing forever. Like, this is what got you on top, right? You believe in it. You put a lot of trust in it. Go ahead. Continue to keep doing it. And this is coming from the Most High. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, through his only begotten Son. Yahweh, through his only begotten Son, which is Yahweh Shai, is basically, hey, you antagonize someone, you egging them on in a fight. Hey, you big tough, swing first, go ahead. As soon as you swing, that you like, that's your ass. And that's kind of like what the Most High is saying. So basically that's what they're going to do. They're going to come upon and come against the woman, which is Israel, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. They're going to swing first, right? And a lot of Israelites are going to die. But once they get to trying to put their hands upon the elect, things are going to get turned drastic, right? It's not going to be good for them, right? But this is what the Lord is doing. The Lord is basically egging on a fight with them. It says, if so be, thus should be able to profit. Hey, if you all let's see, let's go. So if so be, thus may it prevail. Hey, you might win. You might prevail. You just might prevail. It says, thou are weary, right? Because you're seeing the chariots. You're seeing the different apparitions, right? During CERN, right? You see the men of the Lord out on the highways and the byways, actually even doing digital epistles, right? In the multitude of thy counsel. So they keep, I'm going to have a meeting with the president of China. I'm going to have a meeting with Putin. I'm going to have a meeting over here. We're going to have another G6 summit. We're going to have another summit over here. We're going to have another meeting. We're going to shut down the government, and we're going to be talking about what's going on, right? Because that's ultimately what this is. They're weary in the multitude of their counsel, of thy counsel, let now thy astrologers see, and they're talking about the 3-eye atlas, whether real or fake. They're speaking about these things, which lets you know that something is definitely coming. Something's happening. Right? Right? And your stargazers, right? They're looking up at the stars, man. They're looking at what's coming. Yahweh Shai is going to come from the Shemayims, man. Right? From the heavens. It's going to come out of the waters. Right? But from the heavens. Right? And it says, the stargazers and the monthly prognosticators stand up. Hey, see? Time to go to war. Let's go. Stand up. And that's with him, with this, knowing that he had but a short time. So how did he know he had but a short time? Because he's doing all these things. He's making his councils. He's had his stargazers and monthly prognosticators, right? His astrologers, NASA, and these people that pray to Satan, and their enchantments and sorceries. Right? They got it all. They got it all in cohesive, and they know things is happening. Right? Stand up and save thee. Right? Save your empire, save your kingdom from these things that shall come upon thee. Right? So the Lord said, look, I'm coming to destroy you. I'm coming to take the kingdom. Stand up. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for war. Come and take a swing. And you know what I mean? And it says, behold, which means feature eyes, look, pay attention. They shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves. See, really, you're not going to deliver yourself at the end of the day. From the power of the flame, there shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to set before it. And the Lord's going to completely wipe this place out. When you go into, it says the day that's like, let's get it real quick. Yeah, so Malachi chapter 4, verse 1, for behold, right, feast your eyes, look, pay attention, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, which is the ICBM missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, right, also hypersonic missiles, also those, Poseidons, right off the coast, gonna shoot up from the coastline and cause a tsunami. You know what I mean? Not a salami, but a tsunami, right? And it's going to be what? Detrimental to you, right? Shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly, right? It's here in America, Babylon the Great, shall be what? Stubble. See? Same thing said over there, right? And that day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, which means armies, and the missiles are part of the Lord's armies, right? And it says that it shall leave them neither root nor branch, right? It's not going to leave you any trees, any stubble, but also it goes into your lineage. You will not have any, your name will not be renowned, right, with the lineage in the earth. We're going to do Obadiah 1 and 18 soon, right, after your 1,000 years of slavery. Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 8, verse 7. It says, the first angel sound, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, right? That's what's coming upon you people, man. 2/3 of the nation of Israel is going to be here in that fire in America, Babylon, right? All right, along with you other heathen nations that's here, right, in this melting pot. And that's going to be befitting, because that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be mingled, right, which means to be mixed, a melting, a mingling, a mixing of people, right, I'm going to melt them, that melting pot, with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, right? The missiles going to be cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the grass was burnt up. See, nor root nor branch, right? They're going to leave you nor root nor branch. It says, and the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain, which is America, which means government, mountain meaning government, burning with fire, was cast into the sea, right? And that's what the Lord said. If you have faith as a mustard seed, you will be able to take a mountain and cast it into the sea. And that's us having that faith that we will be out of our captivity, that the Lord is going to deliver us from this government, right? And cast it into the sea, which being amongst, because it's going to make all the other people angry, right? Because it says that the whore, they were wroth with the whore, Salakia. Yeah. So that's the sea. The people are going to be wroth with her, and all the other nations are going to shoot missiles upon this place, right? And they're going to be cast into the sea, cast into the people. The people, you're going to get judged, right? You're going to get what they going back into the law. It says that they're supposed to take you out of the city and throw rocks at you until you die. And these missiles are basically big old expensive, highly powerful nuclear rocks, right? At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a powerful nuclear rock, right? Right along with the fire, because it talks about being a whore, right? And if a priest, right, which that's what you say, you're on the left-hand side, you're a priest, right? The AI is a priest. You're a priest, but a priest's daughter, if she's a whore, you're supposed to put fire to her. So you're a priest, yeah, with your enchantments and your sorcery. That's part of a priesthood, but it's on the left-hand side. And then America is known as the whore, or the daughter of Babylon, and that whore has to be burnt with fire. So that's that government, and then it says the great mountain, see, known as Babylon the great mountain, that government, burnt with fire and was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood, right? Going to be destroyed, right? Yeah, so this is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 25. It says, behold, which means feature eyes, look, pay attention. I am against thee, O daughter of mountain, right? Which is America, daughter of Babylon. It's mountain, daughter of mountain. Saith Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, which destroyeth all the earth, right? And that's what Esau's been doing, using his military, right? That strength, the strength of the iron, to basically subdue and break in pieces the nations, right? And it says, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee, which is dealing with Yahushai, is coming to judge you, right? He's stretching out his hand, which is sending his son for judgment, right? And roll thee down from the rock, right? Because you're on top of the hill, right? You're on top of the world, right? But you're gonna get rolled down the hill, you can get taken off the top, right? Because what's it called? They always have this the summit meaning top of the mountain, right? A summit is the very peak part of the mountain, the top of the mountain. So that's what you're saying. You're having your summits. You're the top. You're the 1%. You're that summit of the pyramid, right? The top, the 1%, right? It says, and will make thee as a burnt mountain, right? See, burn up this government, man, right? The Lord's gonna destroy this place, man, right? And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, right? See, our cornerstone is Yahweh Shai, right? Nor a stone for a foundation. See, in Yahweh Shai is our foundation. That's why he comes in the volume of the book. That's the foundation, the volume of the book. You have to go precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. You can't call it Hebrew hopscotch and then think that you have a full foundation, right? So Esau, this place ain't going to be our foundation because this is not our rest, right? There's no rest here, right? It says nor stone for a foundation. See, and there's no foundation. There's no firmness. Any day, every person here, even the Edomites, are living paycheck to paycheck. So there's no foundation, right? But thou shalt be destroyed, desolate, right? And that's what's going to happen. See, when the thing comes and leave you no root, no branch, there's no son, no nephew, and also talking about this place is going to be a desert also as well, right? Forever, see, and it's going to be like that forever, right? Obadiah 1:18, and it's going to be forever once that 1,000 years of slavery is fulfilled, right? Saith Yahweh, right? So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To you sisters, you Achwathiim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and a Bible ball, Kwam Yasharallah.